Hello, and welcome to the biggest Pokemon video I ever probably made. Now, I know what you're thinking. Foxcat, why do you make this video? Well, the short answer is pretty simple. It's because I wanted to do this because I did wonder, what is the canon Pokemon that every trainer has? Because here's the thing. Every Pokemon trainer in the series has a canon name. And of course, there's a lot of canoncy with the whole Pokemon games. Yes, they're very loose, but even the timeline of Pokemon is somewhat stable. I mean, heck, that's the reason why they pulled the freaking Ultra Space card, so that way they can stop with the whole consistency of trying to make a freaking Pokemon timeline. However, with that being said, many people have often questioned if there was a canon team in Pokemon, which has appeared multiple times. Heck, there even been times where they try to make it in the canon, such as with Pokemon with Pikachu. But is there really a canon team in every Pokemon game? The short answer, the obvious no. Because in actuality, the canon team is blah 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 your choice. That's pretty much obvious. And I know that's weird. Because really, that is just the answer. I mean, it's very much it. Which is kind of funny because Pokemon tries its hardest to come up with official artworks for several things, trying to have the main character's team have a canon team in there. But really, you can have anything you want. However, I did wonder, what if there was a way to put every single team in a canon team? And how did I go along with it? So today, in this video, I'm going to try to make up the actual possible canon team. There's a few main things we got to get over though before we start this video. First off and foremost, again, this is just into my head and all that. Plus also, there are some things backing up towards it. But again, like we said, the short answer is pretty much it could be anything you want. In fact, I highly recommend going with the flow of what your team will be. Heck, I did it with multiple games and blah blah blah. Plus also, I did even try to test this out. And while it did work in Pokemon Y, since I got that game back, hence why I'm making this video, because I'm celebrating that, that's a little bit tricky because A, that's Y, which we all know, and B, I haven't touched any other game yet with that. Funny enough, I'm actually getting into the same issue with Pokemon Omega Ruby with that, which I didn't want to, but we'll see how that works. Second of all, and more importantly, how I base this off. For starters, I actually use a very interesting video for the starters choices. Of course, that's going to be obviously it could be any starter, but I decided to do look up a straightforward video on what was the best starter the Pokemon trainer should have. The video will be down in the description below. I forgot who made it. My bad. I forgot your name. But still, pretty good video. Because surprisingly enough, his thing may be more smart than you think. Now, of course, there are going to be some changes with one of his things, of course, and we'll get to that in a bit. But I use that as a starter. As for the rest of the Pokemon, however, that's where things are going to be interesting. There's literally 3 main factors that puts your team in place. Number 1, the team has to be given as a gift Pokemon. Number 2, which is kind of combined with number 1, the starter Pokemon. And number 3, it has to be a legendary Pokemon. Note before we get into this, not every gift Pokemon is intact. In fact, Pokemon Sun and Moon is going to be a hellhole with that because they got frickin' many fossil Pokemon. It has to be directly given to you. And yes, fossil Pokemon does count because we revived them. And blah blah blah. So that will count. And note, the Legendaries also fall in the same vein as depending on what version you get, of course. But I am counting that in teams. Plus also, I will make notes if there's enough slot for a random additional Pokemon that's not gift Pokemon, that's pretty much like the wild card of its sorts. And I'll explain also some of the reasons why I chose them. The Go answer is because I kind of like it in the team, but some of them I did choose for a good reason, because it would make sense in this scale of the Pokemon trainer in question. Plus, also, another thing we get through, yes, I did in fact chose kind of the gender of each game. Don't worry, it's variety, but it could be any gender, by the way. Is another duh. I mean, you can kind of see why this video is weird. But again, this is, of course, just my professional opinion. Well, not even professional. It's just a opinion, more just try to fill with facts, of course. Plus, also, I did test this out only on Y. And, you know, you can test this out on any other game if you want. But either way, I am including this into the game system. Also, one more thing we do need to discuss. As of now, except for Gen 4, because that game hasn't been out yet, and even then it's possibly going to be the same, just who knows what mechanic they're going to add into it, all the chosings of the Pokemon will be literally up to date. That's the only difference, though. For example, Pokemon Generation, you know, blah blah, Pokemon X and Y will still be intact, because, you know, there's obviously never ever going to be a updated version of that game. And I say that because I bet $5 they're going to skip that game after they do the Black and White remakes, jokingly speaking, blah blah blah. And you know, that is. Of course, side note, this also, as you may know where I'm going with this also includes any sequels or any updated version. For example, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon will count for the rest of Generation 7. Of course, Black 2 and White 2 will consider with, of course, the update for Black and White. But, of course, I did separate the two in order of case. A more accurate response will be like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for update, and Platinum for the update for Gen 4. Even though there is one coming out, but, you know, counting that as still the ultimate if they're ever going to make a combo with that. Side note, I also include Crown Tundra and, of course, Out of Armor with the 8th gen, but we'll get into that detail later once we hit that box. Of course, as always, there will be only at least 6 Pokemon in each team slot. And finally, just a side note, I will try to do my best to explain why. Because there are going to be a few that's obviously wacko and all that. But I will do my best to explain how you get these things and how each one makes sense. Anyways, let's go. Alright, so the first Pokemon trainer we gotta talk about is Red. Which makes sense since he is the first one. And of course, we all know who Red is, and we all know what his Pokemon team could be. Note that I have removed one certain Pokemon, but it's pretty clear on which is the first Pokemon in his party. That is no doubt Pikachu, which makes sense. Pretty much in Pokemon Yellow and Pokemon Let's Go, he is the updated party member to be received. And I know a lot of people will point out, what about Evie? Well, I'm discounting out that for 2 reasons. First of all, we're only focused on one trainer, and Evie seems more like a Leaf kind of character. Second of all, and more importantly, Pikachu is the most popular out of the 2, so yeah, pretty much. Not saying that Eevee's not popular, it's just the fact that, yeah, he is more popular than any other Pokemon. Next up will be the main starters, which is, of course, Venusaur, Charizard, which we all know that's going to be the case, and of course Blastoise. Now, these Pokemon may be very interesting to be a chosen one, but believe it or not, in the Pokemon games, it has been established that, of course, Red has given these as gifts, especially if you consider Let's Go. As of now, Let's Go has shown he gets all free Pokemon. So that's pretty much covers his ground on that. But what about his 4th and 5th Pokemon? Well, that will be Lapras. Pretty much, obviously, his most trusted Pokemon. being in the series. He gets it as a gift in the games, so it makes sense. Note before we do get to the legendaries, some may actually, as of right now, be pointing out, wait, what about you know who? Snorlax. Well, I discounted Snorlax for two major reasons. First of all and foremost, Snorlax is debatable considering that he is a catch event, and I'm not denying that you could have that on his team, which obviously you can't really deny since blah blah blah. However, I did remove him for two aspects. While he is an event Pokemon that could be captured, it's not very much so much as like a legendary. Plus, also, we still need to get a legendary in his team in order to make his canon team Pokemon. So, with that being said, you probably know which Pokemon, legendary Pokemon, is going to be in his canon team. The ultimate duh being Mewtwo. Yes, Mewtwo is technically a very interesting choice. I know a lot of you want to be asking about the Kanto birds, but I feel like Mewtwo maybe is only legendary, considering that the Kanto birds are also in the same versions. Plus, also, it's much more clear that he is the ultimate legendary of this generation. Alright, next up is Ethan. I chose Ethan to be the canon character of the games because I feel like he's the most accurate towards it. He fits in the role as a Pokemon trainer, and while yes, I will say that Soul Silver and Heart Gold did introduce the gender option, it probably feels much more better to add in him as the first starting. Plus, also, the gender roles have not been out until Pokemon Crystal, so it's only fair and natural that is the case. Anyways, so who is his technical starter? Because, of course, unlike the first generation, this generation definitely helps you choose your starter. Well, that starter is Talsplosum. I hope I'm saying it good. I'm saying this right, but you know what Pokemon I'm talking about. Which, again, if you want more confirmation goes to the link down below of the video of the starters. But on this note, I feel like that makes the most sense. He is also the canon starter, because in the manga, Ethan's Pokemon is in fact Explosion. So it makes sense. Next up is Togekiss. Note of this because I need to make it clear. I forgot to mention during the opening that I also will be updating each of the Pokemon, even though this is jokingly not updating it because obviously this is flipping Dex 3D Pro, which surprisingly never updated with the freaking next gen, only up to Generation 5 for some strange reason. But of course, Togekiss will make sense since he or she is the gift Pokemon for that trainer. Plus, also, it helps introduce with the whole, thing. And yes, I am updating each of all these Pokemon to their upgraded form, as if the order show, I'm not going to talk about how old these characters are, of course, but I will update them up to the latest generation. And also note, I will be theorizing each one of them, but of course, for Togekiss, it makes pretty much sense. Okay, so Dragonite is next, but I gotta put a fair warning. I tried to look up to make sure exactly if this event is before the champion. That's kind of also another rule I put into this video is, blah blah blah. I know I should have said this beforehand, but it helps make it better so we can have a full team. So, just in case of note, if you don't see Type Null in this, it's because, he came after this and blah, blah, blah. But I did read up that the Dragonite line is given to the player before the first champion thing. Also counting, talk about Johto's, not Kalos, or both to be exact. Which is given to you after, I think, you meet the Dragon Trainers. So it makes sense that it will be Dragonite. Plus, also, that's pretty cool because then you get a pseudo-legendary Pokemon in your team, so it makes sense. Next up is Hypnotop, which, yes, I know that's weird, but it is confirmed that his baby form is given towards you during the, the post, well, not the post game, but before, I think on Victory Road exactly, so, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are able to gain that as your starter, well, not a starter, but as a gift Pokemon. And the reason why I put it as Hypnotop is because I feel like A, it came in the second generation, and B, I feel like it's much more better to have a balanced character rather than Hypno or Hypno can't. So Hypnotop would make sense for the balance, because that's actually how you evolve this thing. You gotta balance out his stats, actually. Just FYI. But yeah, pretty much Hypnotop will be his next target. Again, I'm still not truly sure on the Dragonite and Hypnotop, so we can even consider this as like the whole wild cards. But these two I'm a little bit fuzzy on, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. Please do, because I don't know. But yeah, these two will make perfect sense. The next two are the Legendaries. One that is obviously a duh, because we all know good and well it is going to be the duh. But the other one is interesting because, yes, there is two Legendaries in this course. And the reason, as stated, the two reasons why I did that is A, I couldn't find any other gift Pokemon to go with it. B, all the other gift Pokemons are later after you beat the champion, which is a ruling. I am putting this down now. I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, but there is a ruling that has to be before the champion kit, blah blah blah. And of course, C being the fact that these two legendaries in Ethan's party makes sort of sense when you boil it down. And the first one is actually probably most likely makes the most sense. Being, of course, Suicune. Suicune is technically a character that appears in Pokemon Crystal. And I'm going to get my butt kicked for this because I hate to say it, but I'm still confused on Crystal's story. I do not know why he fights the unknowns. I heard the unknowns are the bad guys. I know there's a movie that involves the legendary dog trio fighting off the unknowns, but that was Ethan, or the fire dog that goes bark and blows volcanoes. But it would make sense if he had that. And as for the legendary I chose for, just go ahead and get this over with. The legendary that I chose for this one will be, of course, Lugia. Now, I know good and well that sounds weird because some may say Ho-Ho may be the better option. I chose Lugia because I feel like it has some sentiment towards it. Plus, also, I will, like I said, this is my choice in, again, it's a duh on these legendaries. But I feel like it makes more sense for Ethan to have Lugia because, it feels like more better with it. There's no actual reason why, but, this is my choosing, so deal with it. But yeah, the last one will be, of course, Lugia. Alright, so Generation 3 will be interesting because it does break one of my rules of my rules. Being, of course, that the last Pokemon in this team is given after the whole champion thing. However, there's two reasons for this. One is because it is an event Pokemon that takes place after the champion thing, because there's another whole freaking storyline in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. And B is the fact that I couldn't find any other gift Pokemon. And while I would have won a wild card Pokemon, I felt like it's much more better if I consider giving this out. First off is Swampert, which is of course the Mudfish Pokemon. He's chosen once again because of the video, but also it makes sense that he been chosen to beat out all the gym leaders. Plus, if we're going to use Omega Ruby, we could literally beat out Team Magma with this Pokemon. It's also worth note that he has a Mega Evolution. By the way, yes, I'm using the book because I'm not switching too much back and forth on my 3DS. Sorry, that's just factual, but we are going to use our systems for this. Just saying. Next up would be Pikachu. And more specifically, cosplay Pikachu. Because in the update version of Ruby and Sapphire, aka Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you do get this person as a gift for the Pokemon contents. So, yes, it makes sense. Yes, again, I am not pulling up the flippin', Pokemon contents, because I'm not going to bust my butt doing that. And even then, it's a little bit tricky because it only has a heart on his, the only difference is it only has a weird blackness on his heart tail. So, it makes sense. So, you get another Pikachu. That's it. Next up is Cast Form, which makes sense. You get it after saving it in Weather Lab. And of course, let's go ahead and, because I love to show off its sunny form, its rainy form, its snowy form. That's pretty much all the weather, even though there's tons of other weathers in real life. But, that is, Cast Form. Then we get to Latios, or of course, other of the Eon duo. But of course, Latios, because it's Omega Ruby, plus it also fiddles with makes sense because the main character in this is, of course, May. And I chose May because we all know we like May. So there we go. Anyways, Latios will be the next of it. Also, once again, it has a Mega form, which is used often to fly. Of course, the canon Pokemon to this is Groudon, and it does have a Omega form with it. Or better yet, a Primal form, being Groudon. And while we're at book form, I guess we'll go ahead and go with Quasar, who also got a Mega form. And yes, this is the Pokemon that breaks character, because this is after the championship, but it makes some sense for the story-wise. Plus, also, there is like a moment where you do fought Willis with his champion Pokemon, so it makes some sense. But either way, yes, that is the third gen's Pokemon. Alright, next up is, of course, Generation 4. And the canon character for this will be Lucas, because why not? And, of course, here are the Pokemon in question that will be in this team. First off is Ape, which makes some sense. And of course, again, video down in the description below. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that, but but it feels also much more better because it is a fire type and most people do like it. Next up is Togekiss, which is pretty much self-explanatory. In Platinum, Christia, the champion, give you Togekiss, so it makes some sense if that's the case. Next up is Glyceron, and this is, if I recall correctly, this is a wild card one, because I couldn't find anything else as a gift Pokemon, so this is kind of a wild card one. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, next up is Glyceron, which makes sense for the evolution being Glyceron because, we're in the 4th gen. Next up is Porygon Z, and this one's a very, very interesting one. So, turns out you can actually get Porygon Z in Platinum. I never even know this, but you gotta talk to someone in the Casino City to get a Porygon Z. And well, not Porygon Z, just a Porygon, but we know we're updating it to Porygon Z because, trading and all that. But still, I did not know you could get a free Porygon, but turns out you can. So yeah, here you are, Porygon Z as part of your Pokemon. Next up is Roton. And yes, I'm choosing Mo Roton because I kind of admittedly like it. And I know what you're saying, Floxcat, isn't this just a event Pokemon that's not even a legendary Pokemon? and blah blah, and I'll say yes, but I'm adding this in because it's another wild card, plus also it kind of makes sense if the character does have it. And it is a pretty good Pokemon, so yes. Finally, for the Legendary, we got Garatina. Now, I know what you're thinking, this doesn't make any sense, what about the other two? And I will say, again, that's right, but one, we're going to the updatest Pokemon game, being, of course, Platinum. Plus, also, it actually makes more story sense in Platinum than Diamond and Pearl, because Garatina actually does help you. Despite many people thinking that it's a devil Pokemon, due to the fact that even I had to make a video explaining why they think this guy is the devil Pokemon in my Pokemon Explain. But, and believe it or not, Garatina has helped you over in the game. So, it's pretty much simple with that being said. So, yeah, Garatina is, is definitely the more of the main characters' Pokemon. Plus, also worth note, I put it in origin form because it is the more form that you'll go with this thing. So, just FYI. So, our next part of this video is very interesting because we get to the first of the 3 games, or 3 generation to be exact, that has to have separate trainers. And the first one makes the most sense because while yes, Pokemon Black and White 2 could be considered updates to the Unova region, they're actually sequels. So it makes sense to do both trainers. And to be frank and fair, I'm going to do Hilbert for the first game and Rosa for the second game. So I'll explain each of one of them's teams right now. Starting with Hilbert's team. Sorry, I'm just messing up names here. And funny enough, both of them get Emboard. Now, in the video, which you probably have seen or not seen, depending on if you've seen that video or not in the description, he did state that it was more trickier if Emboard could be used in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, but I decided to go ahead and give both of them Emboard since we all know that's everyone's favorite Pokemon. So it makes sense to give both Emboard because of the reason. As going back to Hilbert now, second one is surprising again because I did not encounter this, but turns out you can actually get one of the elemental monkeys at a certain place from the Dream Lady in Pokemon Black and White. And in this case, simpler because each of the Pokemon represent the opposite of what you've chosen. Being in this case, simpler, the opposite of fire. So it's pretty good. I actually did not know. Next up, you get Archop. And if I recall correctly, it's probably because Pokemon Black, which we are using them, but we're also probably using, picking out our fossil, of course. But I don't remember. I think it was exclusive to the Pokemon games. So that's the reason why I'm choosing it. But yes, you do get a fossil Pokemon, and it is Archops. Which I know that's a weird Pokemon to choose, but hey, like I said, all gift Pokemon is game. We already talked about egg Pokemon, so let's add fossil Pokemon. Though we're not always going to have fossil Pokemon, which we'll soon see later. Okay, for the next 2, I don't remember if I put them in correct order or not, but I'm just going to go in the order they came from. And next 2 are wild cards because, it's more free space as that's all the Pokemon that is. And I know what you're saying, what about Zora? But that's not even a gift, not even like fully a gift Pokemon. I'll explain in details later once we get to that part. Because there is a fact you do get Zora, but not in this game. Anyways, the first wild card will be Clink Clank because, it's me. And I kind of actually like its design, so it makes sense. And of course, since it's me, my favorite Pokemon is obviously going to be in my team, no matter what. Well, depending on if I do want in my team or not. And, of course, it's Channel frickin' Laura. I mean, we all know this is going to be happening to me by now, and I do like frickin' Channel Laura. But yes, these 2 are wild cards. And our final Pokemon is Reshiram, which I know that's weird because I said Pokemon Black. But yes, Reshiram is the mascot for Pokemon Black. I know that's weird coloring since, you know, Zekrom is, of course, Pokemon is the, as stated, the deep black Pokemon. Well, this is the vast white Pokemon, aka this has not aged well. If you get why I say that. I mean, to this day, I'm still even questioning why Nintendo would even name that game like that. But, you know, hey, at least it probably saves them a bug. Oh, boy. Probably need to change names. Whatever. Anyways, Reshiram is pretty much that choice. Course. So next up is Rosa, and we already discussed who her starter Pokemon will be. And that will be, you know, Import, because again, that makes the most sense, you know, because of fan favorite and also because it could beat the IRL, blah blah blah. But over that, then we ran into a major problem that is very interesting, being that there's literally only one gift Pokemon you get in the entire game. And yes, you could recorrect me if I'm wrong with that, but literally, I tried my hardest to look at Black 2 to see if there's any good gift Pokemon before the story, and there's only one, uno, whatever the other ways to say one in different languages. There's only one gift Pokemon, so we're just going to scale through each one and talk about these random cards and why I would think that these wild cards would make the most sense. Next up is, well, first up, other than Import, it's Swoobat. Which makes sense. I mean, it's a good starter Pokemon. I used it before. I actually like Swoobat. Even though a lot of people don't necessarily like Swoobat. But it's pretty much a good basic Pokemon to have. Next up is Whimsicott. Which, you know, another good choice as a grass type Pokemon. It also gains Fairy type. Just FYI. And it's pretty much, you know, good one to have. Next up is Sawbuck, and I choose the Spring because why not? Because I don't think those really matter. Now, note, I did recall that Sawbuck must have also been a gift Pokemon, but my mind's blanking on this, so we're just going to skip and probably say not. But if I'm a little bit wrong or etchy, that's fine. But yeah, this is another wild card to my opinion. And finally, we get to the only gift Pokemon you get is Zoroark. Now, let me kind of brief down on why Zoroark is for Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, and why I discounted it in Pokemon Black and White. Well, the reason why is how you're supposed to get the gift, which is stupid and suck dong. So originally, the way you get the original way to get it in Black and White is you're supposed to have Celebi in your party. And we all know how DSi Wi-Fi did not work very well back in the day, and it still doesn't. So it was tough to get. So because it's a little bit difficult to get it today, as of now, I decided to go ahead and put Zoroark into the, you know, Black 2, White 2, which makes more sense of being gift because, believe it or not, this is also ends Black, you know, the original leader of Team Plasma, or rather the puppet leader, since we all know the real leader of Team Plasma, no matter what, is Genesis. He left his Zora with roots, and you do get him. So that's actually how you get this Pokemon from Black 2 and White 2, and it is a gift Pokemon. Which is a fair point to do, because I bet a lot of people were upset that Zoroark had to get through that way. Just saying. And finally, Black Cream, the bounty Pokemon. Yep, that's right. This Pokemon will be the legendary starter because, you know, Black 2 was the one that you get, you know, Zekrom and, of course, Griffium together. So it makes a lot of sense, as you've seen here. And, of course, I will be counting combined Pokemon as well in order to make sense of the canon. Just saying. Now we'll talk about my most favorite Pokemon generation in the history of Pokemon. Yep, that's right. Generation 6 with Pokemon X and Y. which I know good and well that none of you are a big fan of. I mean, I wouldn't blame you because of that. And funny enough, since this video is all about it, my team is literally the test team that I ever done with this. So we'll go through each of my team in sort because it's pretty much more easier. And thank goodness I did this because holy heck, it makes this whole video much more easier. So I'll just speed through right here and then I'll make a little bit of a note while we're at it. Pokemon chosen will be, of course, Delblox. Phlox as the fire type. And since there's 2 Pokemons chosen at this round, it would make sense why not to have 2 Pokemon. Note, unlike the video in the description, I did not choose, of course, if I recall correctly, was it Delblox and Venusaur that was chosen as that? I don't know. I chose Blue instead, well, Blastoise. Yes, I named him after the French word of colors, just FYI. Because I felt like that makes more sense, which actually works in various ways, just though it's kind of jokingly not that bad, because again, this is Pokemon Y. The most difficult trainer in this thing is the freaking Elite Four water type user. Just saying, that's literally the only difficulty in this flipping game. Then we got Meowstic, but we'll get into that in a bit. That's a wild card. Then we got Ouroboros, which is, of course, the fossil you get. You can either choose that or the T-Rex one. I'm blanking on his name. I choose, of course, Ouroboros, of course. Then you get Lucario after defeating after getting it from the fire type gym leader who teaches you how to Mega Evolve. And of course, we cannot forget one of my favorite legendaries, Yveltal. Yep, just Yveltal. The creepy guy that at first glance in his first debut trailer is creepy with veins, but in the end he actually is pretty awesome. Okay, so P.S. I thought I had the male one in data, did not. So we're just going to go ahead with, of course, showing you the book version, but it's fine. Because here's the reason why I'm showing you the male version instead of mostly the female. Even though it doesn't matter because, again, it's a wild card, I choose female because I liked it more than the male. I mean, I like both, though. It's pretty good designs. But the reason why I say male is the better option is because, and someone actually is a good wild card, is because your rival will pick the different gender Pokemon of Meowstic as part of their team. For Serena, she will definitely choose female. For, Clenum, even though we're playing him, he would chose male. That's actually a thing. So it makes sense for one of our canon Pokemon to be, of course, Meowstic. Now, of course, for me, I chose female because, this is me we're talking about. But other than that, gender change is pretty much my Pokemon. I did do it mostly with the whole canon team thing for me. P.S. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't count that as good evidence because this is freaking Pokemon Y, and even I know Pokemon Y is very easy and fun to go through. So yeah, so take that note with a grain of salt here, but still, that is the canon team for this generation. Alright, so next up we finally have Pokemon Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. The second out of 3 that has multiple versions. And the reason why I'm doing it separately rather than just sticking up to the updated version is for 2 reasons. A, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon and Sun and Moon has completely new Pokemon into it. But also, there's separate stories depending on the version. And second of all, and more importantly, there's stories are really separated with different Pokemon the way you get them. So it only makes sense to, separate them all. Now, of course, with that being said, there's only at least up to 3 Pokemon that are similar in a way that you get through this thing. The first one is, of course, Primelia. Again, due to, of course, reason. Being that it's the easiest to go through the challenges. Even though Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon knows this and kick your butt with it. But either way, also because it is one of the more popular so it will make sense why to, get it. The second Pokemon, even though I didn't get this event, is of course Aerodactyl in its Mega Evolution, because you know it had Mega Evolution. P.S. By the way, I wanted to point out that a lot of you might be wondering, what about all the other fossil Pokemon? And that's the answer. There's no way in hell we're going to keep having all those fossil Pokemon. And even then, I think they don't count because they're not really gift items. I know good and well that that whatever this thing came from is the whole gift item. So it makes sense to just have it as normal, which makes sense. But yes, this is the second one. The last Pokemon they get the same is of course Evie, which of course, you know, just makes sense because you get them from the, you know, cowboy town and all that. Now, of course, because this is Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I decided to play around a bit and give out what their evolution could be because of timeline. For the first game, since I choose Moon as my first game into this new generation, well, technically the second to new because, you know, now we're in Generation 8, I chose Umbreon because of Pokemon Moon. And of course, you know, Ultra Sun means, of course, Espeon, because we both know that these two evolve with the Sun and Moon, well, pretty much. So it makes sense. But yes, the Eevee evolution will be next, will be their final same Pokemon. Their next Pokemon is a little bit of the fun one, because this one is also kind of a random wild card, but it is fun because it helps separate the versions exclusively. With Elo, he gets the Sans/Alolan form, because, of course, Moon and all that. While, of course, Celine gets, of course, the Ninetales because of Sun. And again, yes, I don't have these Pokemon, just FYI, but, you know, still haven't evolved this, and I still haven't found this, but, you know, exclusive versions, which I might be a little bit late on, but whatever. The next ones are definitely wild cards. Well, not really. The next one, the first one for Leo is actually a wild card, while the other is the next gift Pokemon you get in this game. And the gift Pokemon I got for Leo, well, the wild card is of course Mimikyu, because we all know good and well where to capture this thing at all. I mean, it's not even jokingly canon if this thing was even that thing. I don't know. But yeah, this is, of course, the obvious duh one for, you know, canoncy. Because who would not forget about Mimikyu, because it looks like a drawing of Pikachu and is awesome, blah, blah. Next up, well, for Selena, however, she does get another gift Pokemon. Nana, Legel, and Popor, being, of course, exclusive to each other, and of course, they're able to get each of them at the same time. It's pretty much easy how to get them. You get them right after you defeat Necrozma, and you know it makes sense to get that as part of your team. And it's pretty useful Pokemon, by the way. And again, some of you might be wondering, well, what about, of course, Zygarde? Once again, that happens after the whole sabam of, you know, And while, yes, Zygarde can be getting through Moon with the whole Zygarde cells crap thingy majig. Sorry for blah blah blah, my mouth is running. But yeah, we're not going to do that, so we're going to skip on Zygarde, just saying. Next up is Nebby, as always, both gets it, but one only keeps mostly Nebby, which, since it's going to be Moon, it's going to be, of course, New Lala. And that will be, of course, Leo gets mostly keep Nebby. But, of course, in the update version of Pokemon Sun and Moon, wait, surprise, surprise, I did not change those, huh? Oh, well, you'll get, of course, Nebby with Necrozma to make this Necrozma, and let's just go ahead and slap frickin' Ultra Necrozma, but yes, it is Necrozma you'll get afterwards, which again, I don't know why I left that uncombined, but yes, that's how. Next up is finally we get to Gloria, because we all know I choose Gloria, even though I call her Maple, because I feel like that's a more better canon name than anything. And let's just say Gloria might be a very interesting character to talk about, because this is also our last of the free, where of course there's multiple both starters and blah blah blah. However, there is a very, very tiny catch with this. And that tiny catch is the fact that she technically actually has free team. Out of literally every other character I have done with this, she is possibly the most actual character to canonly have more Pokemon. Well, other than the fact that, collection and blah blah. What I mean by this, the reason why I point this out is because, obviously, because DLC happen and each one is technically their story. So because of this, there are going to be bended rules. And the biggest bended rule is the fact that, of course, this is going to be the same. So let's go ahead and see what Pokemon she has in her own decks. And first up is Cinderace, which, is also going to be, whoops, that's not what I meant, is also going to be her Gigamax Ace Pokemon, other than another one we'll get into later. And yes, it is the most, technically, her most interesting Pokemon, because, we all like Cinderace, and once again, it can beat literally every other character kind of thing. And next one is, crap, oh boy. Yeah, I do not like this Pokemon, Toxicity. Like, the typing's great and all, and I do understand if it's a cool Pokemon, but if it's evolving from this, that looks like Baby Barney, and, blah blah blah, then yes, I'm not going to like it, but I am going to accept it as a canon Pokemon, because you do get it. And at least it has a Dynamax form, so that's something that's going for it. Though I want to say that would be, of course, well, I guess I would say that because, because of the volume soup and all that. But yeah, pretty much, yeah. Next up is Dracozolt, and of course, Arctovish. And yes, I know good and well that the comment section is going to kill me because most people will not use these Pokemon. Now, this could be also considered a wild card kind of thing because, other than that, there's not much. But here's the reason why I consider these as wild cards and why I didn't choose any other Pokemon. For one, most of the other Pokemon, surprisingly enough, is canon to other trainers. Like Dawar, the rock guy that goes with, of course, the water gym. Frickin' Rugarigas is even canon, like, with frickin' Ouster. So I thought, maybe I should choose the most wildest and also the most understandable. And Dracozolt and, of course, Arctofish is perfect. Plus, also, admittedly, I mean, it's a good design. I don't see why people think this is garbage fire. But then again, we all know my taste is probably crappy than any other taste. Just saying. But yes, I would consider this as canon such for this, so yeah. And then we'll get to, of course, the Legendaries. And the Legendaries are kind of funny this time. Because instead of getting Zamazenta, you get Eternius first. And yes, like I said, we are going to go to Zamazenta because, we are going to bend the rules a little bit. Plus, it makes more sense in story-wise because Hop does get the other Legendary. But yeah, you get Eternius, even though you don't get his sweet-ass Dynamax form, which is so weird why they didn't do that. That would have been so cool. But yes, you do get Eternius first, then you get, obviously, Zamazenta, because reasons. And yes, but that is just the main game. Because now we got Isle of Armor, and first up is Urshifu, because we all know good and well, we're going to choose Urshifu because, it actually is technically your starter Pokemon. Oh, also, wait, actually I did choose it, never mind. I was going to say I didn't choose the starter, but I did put a starter in there just in case. So yes, Urshifu, which is technically a very good Pokemon. And yes, I did choose the Rapid Strike because I feel like that's much more better because, how lighthearted Gloria is, so it makes some sense. Next up is Porygon Z evolved because you do get Porygon a little bit earlier, even though weirdly, and I guess see this. This thing is on the last other than Zayu on decks, which I don't know why. But yes, you do get Porygon Z as well. Then you get Venusaur that could Gigamax, but of course I didn't get the Gigamax, but we'll just set that aside. And I chose that Gigamax over the one I did choose, which was, of course, Blastoise, because why not? I mean, I don't really have too much carement, so yeah. But anyways, yes, you do get Venusaur. Next up is Slow Blow, which is Galarian form, and yeah, because, you know, it's the first entry. Oh, side note, once we get to it, I did not put Galarian Slow King on the list. That's only because, you know, we'll get to that reason in a bit. But yep, Slow Poke is, of course, next with its Mega Man Buster. Next up is Incineroar, that matches the type of your Pokemon, of course, which, of course, you do get as a gift. And then you get, of course, Dugtrio. And note, yes, I know it's not a low-end form, but I don't have that yet. I mean, it's similar to the Zygarde cells situation, so I don't know. But it makes sense if you get the low-end, of course, Dugtrio, and, of course, Incineroar from the guy with the Dugtrio. Finally, we get to Crown Tundra, and here's where things get interesting. So, rather than the starter Pokemon, I did not choose any starter Pokemon. There is only one gift Pokemon that could count, but you only get it through a certain way. You have to get it through a certain way. But the rest of them are pretty easy, and you just catch them because they're legendaries. And first up is Reggie Drago. And I don't care what you all say. I choose Reggie Drago because Reggie Drago is badass as heck. But it could be any of these two Reggies. Then for your team you get the crazy Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. And I know good and well that some of you may be like, what? But I kind of added it in for reasons. Then, of course, we get Calyrex with, of course, Glacier. Because, you know, Glacier is technically... To my opinion, I chose that over the Ghost type one because, you know, reasons I won't give. But yes, you do get Calyrex in his full form, which I highly recommend you get that rather than just the plain alone Calyrex because it's actually pretty good. And finally, you do get the Light Trio line, aka the Nebby line or whatever. And of course, mine came out New Lala, and I think it's because of, again, depending on the version you get, where Solgaleo is in Sword, while New Lala is in Moon. But yes, that would consider as canon. And there you have it. That's literally the end of this video. Again, I'm sorry if this whole video was a little bit sloppy to make, and sorry for the long time of making this video. I mean, I know good and well that I tried my hardest to. I know the art looks a little bit bleak, but again, I tried to put it on, you know, clip art, but it didn't work because of reasons. Not clip art, photo collage, pic collage, there we go, and all that. But again, this has been a very interesting video. I'm glad that I did my research for it and all that. But, of course, that only is because it was the most I can do. Now, if you guys have a little bit of an issue with the choosings, that is totally fine. I would not blame you because the situation is pretty much dire of that. So, with that being said, I'm sorry if it's not very accurate and perfect. In fact, I actually recommend for anyone who's watching who does Pokemon videos, do a better version of this video. I don't care. I will watch it more better because it is a good topic that I came across on. And if there was one that has been done, please let me know so I can watch it, jokingly speaking. But, of course, thank you for watching. Again, the video about the starter Pokemon will be down in the description down below. Again, thank you for joining. If you're watching this, of course, you know, premiere. Sorry, I probably wasn't there. I mean, depending on when, because this is literally just me talking to future self, because I don't know if I'm going to be there or not. Still, glad you came and watched it, you know, all that. And anyways, I'm snapping out of here. Bye bye.